kill list at the San Angelo Animal Shelter, an earthquake rocked San Angelo last night, and a San Angelo native has been nominated for Latina of Influence. I'm James Bellini, and this is Live. We'll get to the news in a minute, but first, a quick message from Mammoth Roofing.
Hi, I'm Trisha Lira, third-generation roofer and owner at Mammoth Roofing Services. I love what I do, and what I do is build the world's best roofs. Need financing? I got you. 12 months, zero interest. I'm Trisha Lira. I want to be your roofer for life.
Starting off the news, 7 dogs are still at risk of being euthanized at the San Angelo Animal Shelter. Last week, it was announced that the animal shelter was over capacity with 199 dogs, and they have a max capacity of 180. Originally, there were 23 dogs, but that number has shrunk to 7. If those 7 cannot be adopted by 6 o'clock, here in a couple hours, they will be killed. All at-risk dogs have free adoption, vaccinations, spay and neuter services, microchipping, and additional perks. To save one of these animals, contact cvpaws.org. Did you feel a shake last night? I dropped my mixtape and apparently it was earth-shattering. So much so, San Angelo felt a 4.9 magnitude earthquake that came in right around Snyder, and at around 10:40, San Angelo felt the aftershocks. On the United States Geological Survey website, they recorded the earthquake outside Hermleigh, Texas, and tremors could be felt here and in Lubbock. The strongest earthquake to hit Texas was at 5.8 magnitude, and only 6 have recorded higher than 5. Have you downloaded the San Angelo Live mobile app yet? It's free and it's the best app in the business. Download it off the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store to stay up to date with news in San Angelo. A native of San Angelo will be recognized at the 2024 Connecting Latinas of Influence series. This will happen on August 27th, 2024 at the Lorenzo Hotel in Dallas. Mary Ann Kellum, who graduated from Central High School in 1973, has been the president and CEO of the Irving Hispanic Chamber of Commerce since 2013. The chamber has been recognized as one of the most involved Hispanic chambers in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, receiving multiple awards, including the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce's Chamber of the Year in 2021. Before joining the Irving Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Kellum had a diverse career, including a tenure in the financial services and clothing industries. Notably, she was the top sales representative for a designer she previously modeled for. The 2024 Connecting Latinas of Influence event aims to honor and recognize influential Latina leaders, and will feature panel discussions and presentations by business experts and community leaders. Into weather, those storms that were supposed to hit have moved to the weekend. Until then, it's clear skies, but right now it's 88 degrees with a high of 91, and the low tonight of 67. Tomorrow, the high is 94, and the low drops to 68. Then on Thursday, it's going to be clear again, a high of 96, and a low of 69. On Friday, the high is 95, and in the afternoon, we have a 20% chance of storms, and then that night, our low sits around 69. On Saturday, we have another 20% chance of storms after 1 o'clock, a high of 94 and a low of 70, and Sunday looks to copy that with another high of 94, lows in the 70s, and yep, another 20% chance of rain. When we come back, Ryan Chadwick will have sports, and then Laquita Shelburne is here to talk about Sid Miller coming to San Angelo and Donald Trump with our very own Joe Hyde. But first, a word from the Bass Bunch.
It's our giant tag sale.
Right now, during our giant tag hail sale, you can get a brand new 2024 Ford F-150 STX for just $38,999.
Don't miss our giant tag sale, only at Jim Bass Cars and Trucks, Houston, Hart, and Arden Road, or 24/7 at bassbunch.com.
There will be a new quarterback under center for the Wall Hawks in 2024 as the previous QB for the past 2 seasons, Gunnar Dillard, has opted to sit out of football. Dillard committed to the University of Oklahoma to play baseball this spring and has decided to focus his senior year on his baseball skills. While this may be disappointing to some Hawks fans, Dillard, as a D1 commit, will still play baseball for the Hawks next spring. In true next man up mentality, head coach Craig Slaughter said that junior Landon York and senior Caleb Braden are the frontrunners to replace Dillard as Wall's quarterback. Wall plans to move to a more pass-oriented offense this season. When asked about Dillard, Slaughter had nothing but praise for the young man and his future. He's a great leader and a tough kid, And man, you love coaching kids like that. I'm a big fan of his, and I wish him the very best, Slaughter said. It's just one of those weird situations where he has the potential to have a very good future in baseball. Wall opens up the 2024 season on the road against their longtime rivals, the Mason Punchers. Kickoff for that matchup is scheduled for Friday, August 30th at 7 p.m. And for more sports around the Concho Valley and beyond, be sure to check in every day at sanangelolive.com/news/sports.
It's hard to believe how reckless some people can be and how hard they fight against real victims. You need a partner who consistently beats the giants and who will never, ever flinch.
Well, welcome back. I'm Joe Hyde, the publisher of San Angelo Live, and today we're going to talk finance and Republican women. I have Laquita Shelburne. She is the president and CEO of the Concho Valley Republican Women. And but first, you're in finance, so let's talk a little bit about finance because it's interesting. I just made a lot of money in NVIDIA, NVDA, that's the stock market thing, but now it's going down. So I bought what's called an ETF that follows NVIDIA inversely. So if NVIDIA goes down, the ETF goes up like 1.25 times. It's called NVDS. That's the thing. Is that a smart thing to do?
Well, I think for some people who are betting against it, yes.
Would you bet against NVIDIA?
Oh, I don't know. You know, right now there's a lot of people doing a lot of things that it be inverse of what we normally would do. So,
so it's kind of a Republican move, huh?
It could be. It could be.
So the Republican National Committee had a fantastic convention last week.
I watched as much as I could of it.
Did you? So what was your favorite part?
I loved two pieces of it a lot. Well, actually, I just loved all of it. I enjoyed all of it. I loved it when his little granddaughter got in his lap and sat there before he spoke. And I loved it when his older granddaughter got up and talked about how he gives them candy. And because I'm a grandparent.
Was that Kaya?
I believe so, yeah.
Eric's
She's a
daughter?
scratch daughter. No, that's Don's daughter.
Don Jr.'s daughter.
Yes, and how she talked about how he calls her in the middle of the day forgetting that she's in school and wants to know about her golf game and how he tries to get in her head when he's playing golf with her. And I thought, what a granddad, you know.
Yeah. They humanized Trump because all we hear about is how terrible of a person he is.
They did. And I thought, you know, his recollection of what happened to him the Saturday before. And
the very beginning of his speech.
I thought that was powerful. And, you know, I do believe that God's hands were on him, you know, and I don't know if anybody in the audience felt that way or not, but I do really feel like that God's hands were on him that day and spared his life. And so anybody that believes in God would have to think that there was something went on there, because that was definitely a miracle in my mind.
A lot of people say when they saw Trump out, you know, interacting with people, and when he walks in and walks out of the convention center, that he looked like a changed man. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely do.
You think it changed him?
Oh, yes. He was he seemed more humble. You know, I just felt like it looked to me like that he had a revelation about, you know, his purpose here. And I think any time that people have that kind of moment where they realize that they're here for more than just themselves, you know, and myself, you know, I'm a cancer survivor, and when you realize that for some reason you've remained, you begin to think differently.
You put new emphasis on your purpose in life.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And I think that's happened to him.
All right, you know what my favorite part was?
What?
At the end of Trump's speech, they played an opera.
Oh, yes. I love that too.
I can't remember if it was Norma Nessa or something like that, but it's the same opera piece. It was an aria by a tenor. And the same opera piece that's played at the end of the movie, A Sum of All Games, which is a Tom Clancy novel. And at the end of the movie, after Tom Clancy, the hero, or Jack Ryan, Tom Clancy's hero in the movie, after they had subverted a plot to between the Soviet Union and the United States to use a nuclear weapon, either to explode it or to use it as a blackmail instrument. They killed all the players while this opera was playing, and he played it at the very end. And I even wrote a story. It's called "The Greatest Troll by Trump of All Time." And it's our #1 story last week.
Oh, really?
Actually, people from all over the country are reading it because I don't know if many people really caught on to that. But yeah, if you go back and look at the YouTube videos of the end of Trump's speech, they're all, the whole family's out there waving and everything, and they start playing opera music. You're like, what is this? And someone on TV saying a comment said, well, Donald Trump loves classical music, so that's why they're doing that. But that's not what it was. It was trolling. And it was the best troll ever, I thought. Using hyperbole. I don't think he intends to kill anyone, but it was hyperbole.
No, I think he always has a little method to what all he's doing, and he's showing us things. And so over the last few years, I think he has some sort of message, usually, for people, if they're smart enough to pick up on it.
Right.
And most of the time, people just kind of enjoy everything and move on. And, I really, really appreciated what he did in honoring the firefighter who was killed, by the bullet that was meant for him. And, I don't know how his family cannot realize, I'm sure they do, that Donald Trump is extremely sorry for that. And how many of us could say, I'm sorry that man took my place, but here is as much as I can give you. And
for his family.
Yeah.
They raised dang near $7 million for the 3 victims, the Compatore, who was the firefighter, and there were 2 other big shooting victims that survived, and they raised about $7 million. And during his speech, he pulls out a check for $1 million.
It's an amazing thing, and he's very generous. The only one in my lifetime that I can remember actually worked for the American people for free.
Right.
And everybody's like, well, and I said, no, he didn't take a check. He gave that check to other places in the U.S. that needed the money, organizations that needed it. And I thought, how wonderful to have somebody be that generous.
A couple of days ago, there's a man on Twitter named Mike Benz. He's a former intel guy from the deep state. And anyway, I follow him on Twitter. And he posted a video of Dana, what was the guy in charge of UFC? Dana Smith or Dana White? Dana White.
Oh yes,
Dana
yes.
White. It was a video of those two going at it in a wrestling ring.
Oh.
They weren't fighting. They were just using. It was a verbal challenge back and forth, just like you would in wrestling. And it was all a big act, but it looked like it was real. And so I think a lot of the things when they the liberals take Trump so literally. But if they would watch that from the 90s, or actually it's the mid-2000s, it was back when Celebrity Apprentice was a big hit. If they looked at that and they took him literally then, they'd say all kinds of terrible things about him. But a lot of the things that Trump does comes from that wrestling world, where there's a lot of showmanship going on.
And he has a lot of funny things he's trying to do. He has a sense of humor that they don't appreciate.
Yeah, they don't get it. And they take everything literally, and then they turn him they try to demonize him. And then the low information voter goes, oh, he's a terrible person. He's a racist. He's this, he's that. It's not that at all. I think he sincerely. He reminds me of a lot of the people who mentored me in business coming up through the years. I had a car dealer who mentored me. He's probably my best friend too, and he acts just like Trump. And so when Trump shows up, I'm like, hey, this is kind of cool, And I have another one from college. He doesn't come out with some of the outlandish things, but there is a lot of showmanship involved in entrepreneur.
Well, and none of us should take ourselves too seriously. We're only here for a short period of time, we shouldn't be too serious about things.
Anyway, Mike Benz Cyber is the guy to watch on Twitter. He's pretty good. He's kind of breaking down right now some of the deep state shenanigans that are going on, because we don't know what they're going to do. They're going to steal the election somehow. And I think it's going to be an October surprise.
Oh, really?
I think we're going to have some kind of big October surprise. But before we get to October, the Concho Valley Republican women.
Oh man, we are
something
busy.
Going on.
We are busy, and we are going to have a general meeting this week on Thursday out at the Country Club, Bentwood Country Club, on July the 25th. And we're going to host the Texas Agricultural Commissioner, Sid Miller. And I think, he is always entertaining.
Right.
And so he's usually good for a few laughs. And he'll have some serious information for us. But I think if you want to come and you want to enjoy the morning and you want to have a good meal out there and you want to enjoy that event, we would welcome you. 11:30 to 1 o'clock. We try to have people back at their office by 1.
So that's July 25th. And a little bit about Sid Miller. When he first started, of course, Sid Miller is one of what they call in Texas politics is a statewide. Because he's elected by a statewide vote. So the other statewide you have would be like Dan Patrick.
Yes.
He's a statewide.
Yes.
And Glenn Hagar, the Texas comptroller, he's a statewide. So these statewides, they always look at what the statewides are doing to determine, what tack the Texas legislature is going to take.
Yes.
And Sid Miller is probably right of center on a lot of things. And the interesting thing about Mr. Miller is that he was up there with Trump when he was shot.
Oh, he was? I did not realize
he was right there next to the podium when the shooting happened.
Oh my goodness.
So he's going to know
he
firsthand what happened.
He may actually give us a little highlight on that. If you want to come, you need to go to cvrw.org and make your reservation because we need to know, especially if you're going to eat. If you're not going to eat, you can come and sit and listen. But if you're going to eat, then you need to come and go to that website because we need to know that you're coming. Just because we'll need to have enough food, it's $20, and we would love to have you come. You do not have to be a member to join us. And
so 11:30 lunchtime, July 25th.
Yes, Thursday.
Texas Agricultural Commissioner Sid Miller. That's like day after from now.
It is. It's quick.
It's Thursday, so it's like almost tomorrow.
You've got to get on it.
Yeah.
And then next month we're going to have August Pfluger. So isn't that clever? August and August.
You're going to have August and August.
That's right.
It's going to be a celebration of August.
That's right. And I listened to him on a Zoom call the other day, and he's going to have some exciting things to say as well.
He's our congressman, of course, August Pfluger. One of the things about Mr. Pfluger is that he is actually putting forth legislation after legislation trying to stop all this stuff that's happening and to protect the Permian Basin.
That's right.
And I would think if I were in his shoes, I'd be getting pretty frustrated because everything he writes in the Republican-controlled House has to go through Senator Chuck Schumer, and the Senate's controlled by Democrats. And of course, if they're not going to look at it, but if they did and passed it, then you have to get Biden to sign it. So he's learning how to sign up legislation left and right. I mean, he's sponsoring, co-sponsoring, writing legislation, and I think that's what happened with people from the Permian Basin and from San Angelo. We sent August Pfluger up there to raise hell.
Yeah.
And
he does it in such a nice way.
He does. He's such a nice hell raiser.
He is. He's definitely being very polished about that, isn't he?
Yeah.
And then we had a very successful downtown campaign for the New Bridge Family Shelter. They're in need of pajamas and socks and underwear for those children, and so we've held that. And if anybody wants to continue to donate, we actually got things in yesterday for people who missed that. We had an ice cream social at our office last week, and people brought things. But if you missed it, you're welcome to bring it by our office at 3177. We'll make sure that gets down there. They're
3177
Executive Drive.
Okay.
And they are really desperately in need. They've had a tough time this summer, and these kids are fixing to start to school, but they show up in the middle of the night with nothing.
And this is the women's and children's shelter.
Yes.
Primarily, I mean, they let men in there too, but it's primarily women and children who are running from. They might be getting threats against them, or
and
might
they
get violence
just
against
jerked
them.
up at any time and brought in, and
over the years,
terrible.
that has been the most underfunded nonprofit we've had in this town. So
it's a desperate situation when they come there. So if you are interested in that, we welcome you to participate. You don't have to be a member. We had a wonderful time at our ice cream social. We always have the latest scoop come, and you get to pick your flavor. Where were you? I don't know.
I might have been in Lubbock.
It might have been, but you sure missed a good one. And then we had some of the women.
Actually, I'm avoiding public appearances.
Are you?
Yes. The last time I made a public appearance, someone came up to me and said, "You're Joe Hyde," and I'm like, I gotta go figure out how to fight this guy, you know. And I'm really an adorable person. I don't know why these threats come, but
yeah, you should let
these are the
protect
times.
you.
These are the times in which we live.
We could have stepped up and said something positive for you.
Yeah.
We actually, at your event down on the river stage on the 3rd, we actually signed up people to vote, you know.
So that was the 3rd of July, a Star Spangled Banner concert and fireworks. The largest fireworks ever fired off in downtown San Angelo.
And we had
I was watching
time.
$4,000 a minute go up.
It was lots of fun, and we had a tent down there, and it doesn't have anything to do with whether or not you're a Republican or Democrat. We were just helping people get legitimately signed up to vote.
How many people signed up?
Well, we only had about 8, but that's really good, you know,
Really?
because people came up and said, I just moved here. I don't know how to get, you know, my address changed and everything. So if you need that kind of thing, we have a lot of people that are you know, been trained and they're ready to do that.
So if you go to the Sid Miller thing, are you going to have people there who can register you to vote?
Well, absolutely. I happen to be one of them.
Okay. And by the way, to be able to have someone aid you in registering to vote, you have to go through a training
You absolutely
class
do,
there
and it's not hard. And
at the county.
Yeah, you have to
Lon
go down
Hudson
to
will demand that you be certified.
You absolutely must be certified, and so I have been through the training, and it's not that difficult. But it is something you must do before you can do that. So if you're interested in it, I would tell you to call downtown and say you're interested, because it's not hard.
Call the county
Yes.
elections office.
And you'll be seeing more and more of that, I'm sure, throughout the city at different events, because we need to help people get, and even if you live under a bridge, we're going to help you get registered to vote.
Hopefully, if you live under the bridge, you see what the Democrats have done to you, and you will register and go vote Republican.
That would be nice.
Is that what the Republican women would say?
Well, I mean, we're not really supposed to say anything about that, but we could. We also are participating continually in the next naturalization ceremony, which will be Wednesday, August the 21st. They have 2 ceremonies, one at 10 and one at 1. So on the 21st, they will have that down at
Is it August 21st?
Mm-hmm, August. And we're down there, and we're down there, but so are the Democratic Party. They're down there. And
All 14 of them?
I don't know how many are there, but they are there, we are there, welcoming these people to America. And so, I would encourage anybody that has never experienced that to come, because these people that are coming in the right way, the way we want people to come, they're so emotional about that, and they probably know more about our Constitution and everything than most full-fledged.
Well, they had to go through classes and take tests, right?
They know a lot of things. And, back when I was in school, and probably you were in school even, you had to take civics. Right. And, some mean football coach was up there teaching you, and you had to learn it. And nowadays they don't do that.
I had civics class in Katy High School with a guy named Mr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Mr. Pepper. And he was, back then I was apolitical, but you knew this guy was lefty because, he, back in those days, it was the left that was suspicious of government. It was the left that was against war. It was the left that was against everything that the Republicans seem to stand for today. It's just like it's all flipped.
It's all flipped.
And so he really hammered home that if you don't vote, you didn't go to my class.
That's right.
You're he would say it reflect poorly on me and on you too.
That's right. Well, that's our right, and we need to protect that right.
I wonder what they teach for civics at Central High School and Lakeview High School.
I'm not totally positive that that's taught, and I would suggest we find out on that.
Sounds like a Concho Valley Republican Woman project.
And we actually did register people. We were out there and present at the gun and knife show this past weekend. So we're
trying
out
to find
there.
those Democrat voters.
Well, what's interesting, statistically, we're finding that a lot of Christian people are not registered.
I
think that
is
blows
true.
my mind.
It's not that they're not registered, but they don't participate.
They don't participate.
Here's where we learned that. I was on the team that brought it was a city ordinance to ban abortion in San Angelo. It was sanctuary city for the unborn.
Right.
Remember that ordinance that we got passed. Well, when we polled it first, we had to have a majority of the city of San Angelo vote to approve this ordinance that would ban abortion inside the city limits, okay? And most people in the Republican Party, you know, the primary voters and stuff that we polled, well, that's redundant. They already have the heartbeat bill at the state capitol. Why would we do it here? You know, so it was actually, when we first started, we polled it, it was 54% against.
Really?
And that's polling Republican primary voters.
Really?
And so what we did was we went out and changed the electorate. And this is how people win elections here in this town. If the electorate is not doing what you want to do, you change it. And so how do we change it? We went to the churches. And every church, I mean, most of the churches, particularly evangelical churches, participated. But the big kahuna that we kind of got under the radar was the Catholics. And we convinced the Catholics to show the polls. And it changed the entire electorate, and we won that thing with over 60% of the vote. And it's because we got people who go to church. And I was amazed. I would think that if you're thinking about, you know, who votes, you know, a Republican voter is a conservative, you know, cultural conservative, probably a churchgoer, but they don't.
They don't vote. They don't vote, and what we also found is that people that are registered gun owners,
They don't vote either?
they're not voting. And so,
Is that right? So
And
all
so-
these threats to the Second Amendment
and they're not
registered vote-
participating in that. So this is what I would say. You know, I think the people who are the rights that they enjoy, that they like, that they say they stand for, they're not participating at a level we wish they would. And so that is very disappointing. It's very disappointing to
seems
me
like-
as a Republican.
It seems like that's a lot of low-hanging fruit for getting
It is a
voters.
very yes, I think it's a very large number of low-hanging fruit, and that's something that we need to definitely focus on in this election, because I do think that the more things we have, and you know, they're making a big deal about the fact that they tried to assassinate Trump. And, you know, and it was with an AR-15 and all this kind of stuff. And so I think people need to hear that with a new set of ears and say, they're going to continue to push that agenda, and they're going to say, look what happened. And so therefore, you know, if you enjoy hunting and you enjoy that privilege,
Right.
then you need to make sure we keep that right. And the only way you do that is if you get out and you exercise your right to vote. The same thing, you know, if, like you mentioned, you know, if people are serious about, you know, rights of the unborn, they need to think about this.
You get active and do something. You know,
They
the
definitely do.
same, going back to Sanctuary City for the Unborn, if anything, it did two things. First, it unified some of the churches. The churches that participated, and you got to think about it, our churches, their pew count is down since COVID.
That's right. That's
so
right.
it was good to get the churches, no matter which sub-denomination of Christianity they were, to work together. And the second thing it did, I think it sends a message. When you have an entire municipality like as large as San Angelo, 100,000 people, pass something like that, you know it gets into the news. And you know these Supreme Court justices, the Texas Supreme Court,
They notice.
the appeals court, even the U.S. Supreme Court. Why does the U.S. Supreme Court have a press? They have a press office because they're worried about what people think about them.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So they're certainly into that too. So those things are important. On the Second Amendment issues, anytime we have a tragedy, whether it's Uvalde or these mass shootings or something like that, it always calls for more restrictions on gun ownership. And the deal is most people, the people who are going to be armed are going to be the crazies and the criminals.
That's right.
And they're going to take away the right for the law-abiding citizen to own a weapon to protect his home. You know, I always talk about you need an AR-15 for perimeter defense of the home. He said, what do you need an AR-15 for? Well, they look cool, but also I need it for perimeter defense of the home. And I don't know if I want the 5.56, maybe the 7.62 because it has a longer range. But anyway, they use that, and they use these arguments that if we just take away guns, then these crazies won't have guns. That's not true. The crazies will still get guns.
And you know, I grew up around guns. My dad never had my sister and I do anything with them, but we knew that was to be respected, and we also understood that was a right that we had as a citizen of the United States. And not all countries have that, and we need to start thinking about that. But we need to also teach respect for that weapon.
Right.
But it's not the gun that kills people, it's people that kill people. And so there's lots of things, there's lots of arguments, you know. for and
So
against.
anyway, gun owners that go into gun shows in San Angelo, Texas are not registered to vote.
We have people that are not, and I find that absolutely
Counterintuitive?
well, it's just unfathomable to think that they would be there and they're in participating in this and that they could not be voting, you know. And so we show up there to say, we're here.
Right.
We're going to help you. It's not a big deal to get registered to vote.
Well, one of the things...
We want to make it easy.
One of the races, and this is kind of a statewide, one of the races to watch is going to be how well Democrat challenger to Ted Cruz, his name is Colin Allred, out of Dallas. He's a state rep, or no, he's a congressman, a U.S. rep. How well he does against Ted Cruz. Because if you see our cities are all in Texas, even Fort Worth has gone blue. Williamson County, all the little county, Hayes County, south of Austin, Williamson County, north of Austin, they've turned blue. So you're going to have this high turnout of Democrat voters in the metro areas, I-35 and east. I'm accepting Tyler, Texas, okay? Some of the rural areas are probably not going to. And the only thing that's going to probably help Cruz is these 7 cities out here, San Angelo, Abilene.
The 7 golden cities.
Midland, Odessa, Amarillo, Lubbock, and Wichita Falls. So the kind of work you are doing is going to help probably keep...
We're hoping that, yes.
Hoping to keep Ted Cruz in office. So basically what I'm telling you is you need to get Ted Cruz down here to talk at the Council Valley Republican Women.
That would be wonderful.
Because he owes y'all.
He owes us. and I personally have reminded him that.
Have you?
Yes, I have. And I've said, you know,
He probably agreed with you.
He actually did. He actually did. And he thanked me for saying, you know, reminding him of that. But
Yeah. You know, when he was up against Beto in 2018, at the last minute he did a bus tour through the magnificent 7 cities. And I think that's the only thing, I mean, you know, he won by 200,000 votes. I think that bus tour at the last minute was what saved him.
You know, I just think there's a lot of misunderstanding between people, like there always is. I think, you know, we have a lot of things more in common than people want to admit.
You're starting to sound like David Curry now.
No, and I do believe I do believe, you know, we love this country. You know, the Republicans, you may have different issues that you disagree with in the Republican Party, but by and large, we love the country. We want it to move forward.
Right, right.
We don't want to lose these rights.
Okay, let's review this. Sid Miller coming up Thursday, the 25th.
Yes, and I think you don't want to miss that.
Sid Miller is the Texas Agricultural Commissioner.
Especially since he was up there with Trump the other
Yeah,
day. That's scary.
Yeah, he was on the stand with
Yeah.
Trump when that happened. I mean, one of those bullets could have hit him.
It absolutely could have.
You know, and then the new
August, we're going to see August.
Pfluger. What day is the August Pfluger?
Let me see. I need to tell you what that day is. August the 22nd.
Okay, so about a month later.
About
It's
a month
August
later,
Pfluger.
we're going to see August, and we're really rocking and rolling on some ideas. Now I'm not going to tell you all of them because next time I'm going to be giving you more information about that. But we're going to be looking at Back the Badge, which is something that we do all the time, and that will be coming up. And then we're working on a big fundraiser. And
All right.
so there's a lot of things.
This is Laquita Shelburne. She is the president, CEO, and current person in charge
Yeah, not
of
for
the
long.
Concho Valley Republican Women, CVRW.org.
Yes, if you want to come, and we welcome you with open arms, and
Even if you're a Democrat.
we do. We like all people.
All right. Thank you very much for coming on the
Thank
show.
you. Appreciate it.
All right. Back to the studio.
When it comes to unique pieces you can't find anywhere else, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is your one-stop shop. With over 24 years in the diamond and coin industry, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is West Texas's choice for diamonds, jewelry, coins, silver, and gold. Owner Bill Kano stands by his work and offers free consultations, including estate jewelry. Don't just trust anyone with your valuables. Come see the staff at Kano's at 1016 West Beauregard in San Angelo.
Thanks for watching the Live Daily News Show, the only locally owned live news show in the Concho Valley. Go like us on Facebook, X, and other social media platforms, and download the San Angelo Live mobile app today to stay up to date on news from in and around the Concho Valley. Thanks again, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.